We can see our wines there.
Welcome everybody to English Wine Week. This is quite wonderful that we've managed to line up Stanlake Park to do their webinar on English Wine Week. So yeah, pretty pleased about that happening, and hopefully all of you have been celebrating English Wine Week, trying something new, and I'm sure if for those of you who have bought the tasting packs, you know, this is probably new for you too, because the Bacchus hasn't been out for very long anyway.
Yeah.
All three haven't been out for very long, have they? Except the Grand Reserve.
Yeah, the Grand Reserve is the oldest and it's only 1 year, less than 1 year on. Yeah.
Yeah, so we're going to be going through those three wines. They are my favourite wines of Stanlake Park's. I got to taste the Bacchus early, which was a bit of a privilege, and I was pretty excited about that coming out, because before I tasted that, when I'd been trying Bacchus, I had in my head, oh, but I'd rather just drink Sauvignon Blanc, whereas this has got real flavour, so hopefully you'll enjoy it too. And we'll be going through Natalia and Nico's story. Yeah, that one. They are from Italy and Argentina, and it's really nice to have them over here making wines in the UK, because it means we get some really good stuff and different learnings from different countries. So as you'll experience with the red, it's got quite an Italian influence. So yeah, it's good. And then we'll also be talking to Benedict, who's here, because he designed the new labels. So as you can see, the Grand Reserve has got the old style label, and the Bacchus and the King's Fumé have got the new style label. So we'll be talking about that too, and the marketing, and you know, kind of the restrictions and delights of working for a small winery. So yeah, I would like to just have a sip of the Bacchus to start off with.
Yeah, just some introduction.
I so wish I could.
Yeah,
You
do
will.
for away. You will.
Not today.
Are you not?
No, LA doesn't have, well, actually, I don't think in the States they have any single varietal English wine. They have sparkling wine, and I've found about 13 or 14 different sparkling wineries, like sparkling wines available in California, but I don't think anywhere in America has Bacchus.
It's quite unusual stuff, but yeah, it will come eventually, because everybody's doing Bacchus now, so eventually it will come.
Yeah, I think in a couple of years.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So well, yeah, we are here now with Nico. We've met, our story is kind of it's very attached to ourselves as a couple, and we met in Turin while Nico was studying enology there, and we met just roughly. And then he went to work in Argentina for his first vintage was in Argentina, in Rioja, which is not Rioja in Spain, but Rioja in Argentina. And yeah, that's where I met him, and we started to travel the world together, and that's where I decided I will move to Europe. And we've been in different countries, and we've been in England in the past. We've been in 2013. We've been in different areas in England, but Nico was just abandoned me on a pub in the coast of Devon. I stayed there, and Nico went to work for that harvest for Night Timber. And then we have to leave because we weren't married by that time. I didn't have an European passport. So I left, we left, we went to France, and then we went to Romania. And then years later, we decided to move back to Italy to open a winery with all the...
That was the dream.
Yeah, that was our dream. That was our objective. We have, Nico's family has 6 hectares in Puglia, which in Puglia is nothing. It's a tiny land. And here is the same land that we have at Stanlake Park. So we pretty much have...
We did more.
Yeah, maybe more. We pretty much we have our own little Stanlake Park down there in Puglia. But his family have been making only grapes for 5 generations, but never made the wine. They made the wine for yourself, homemade wine for just for family consumption, like 2 tons for family consumption. That is kind of, you know, Italian levels of consumption. So we were planning to take over Nico's dad vineyards and make our own wine with our own project. Pretty much we even had the labels, we had the logo, we have the website, we have everything launched. But we didn't have all the bureaucracy. It takes years in Italy to get something done, and taxes were ridiculous, and pretty much we needed to lose money for 5 or 6 years in order to start to see €1, and we couldn't afford that. So we started working for other wineries, Nico for one and me for another, and we saw, okay, in the meantime we'll figure out this, and we couldn't. We never figured out, and so we said, okay, this is not going to happen. And I told Nico, why don't we try to go back to England? You know, we like it there.
We like the weather,
yeah,
the food.
It was lovely weather. It was lovely food.
Very good beer.
Yeah, well, it wasn't the weather, but we really enjoy our time here. Everything is so reliable here. I know it sounds different from English. English people would say, what are you talking about?
Of course, after Italy, Romania.
Trust me, it's a very reliable country. So things are, if you're good in what you do here in England, you succeed. That's it. In Italy, in Argentina, in Latin countries, it doesn't matter. You need to be friends with somebody. Or you need to, you know, all this kind of Latin relationship, mafia thing.
I wasn't going to say it. You did.
I know. Yeah, I know. But that's true.
Yeah,
not illegal mafia in a way, but you need to know things. You need to know people. It doesn't just work because you're good at what you do. At England, it's exactly the opposite. It's just if you're good, and you progress and you make a career. So whatever. So we were trying to move back to England, and at the same time, we contacted several wineries. I think all the wineries in England, if they go back to their inbox, they will find an email from some Nicola Centonze, because I think we contact them all, and now they might say,
well, 100 sellers at that time.
Yeah, there were 100 wineries, and I think we contact them all. And Nico actually made a few interviews with other wineries, but then there was this project, and it wasn't just a winemaker position. It was taking over the whole management of the thing. And Nico had his interview, and I just popped in to the interview. I said, I have to go here, and I have to be in that interview because I want them to hire me too. So I didn't come with empty hands. I prepared a product development. So I worked hard. I wrote like 10 pages of product development, and we arrived to the interview, and Nico said to the owner, I'm going to bring my wife. And they probably thought, oh, this guy, he's bringing his wife to the interview.
Usually Italian,
Mama Italian, and I need mama. If it's not mama, it's my wife. But there was a strategy there. So I arrived, and I made copies of my product development, and I bring it to the people that were in the interview. I say, okay, I know you're not inviting me to the interview, but if you want to consider, I could do this with your brand, and I think we could do this and we could do that. And I wrote a marketing strategy for 1 year, and I said, we could do this and we could do that.
They were shocked.
It was a little vague. I didn't have all the numbers because I didn't have access to the real information of the company, obviously. But I just imagined, and I remember my idea was to make Charmat. And at the end, we didn't do it because of technical, logistical decisions. But then people started to do Charmat here in England. And it was that I can prove it. That's my little product development. So, well, they were impressed with both of us. And they said, yeah, okay, we're going to hire them both. I just invented myself. I just naked.
I love it.
Yeah, that's the way I managed to,
Full package.
Yeah, it was a full package. If it was Nico, it was also me. And they liked the idea, and so we just took over the entire thing. And I'm lucky that I came because it's just too much for one person. Well, you know how much we're always working. So yeah, we just completely redesign the winery in our style. And because a lot of job was already done for our little project, we already knew what we were doing. We said, okay, we're going to start the strategy. The strategy is this. The website, we're going to turn it into this, because the website is completely new as well. So we pretty much did what we were hoping to do.
Just translate everything from Italian.
Translating the Italian project into an English project, yeah, which has changed the language, like that, and the grapes. We were talking with somebody, and we said it's not Primitivo, but it's Pinot Noir now. It kind of sounds similar. Yeah.
Yeah, it's been amazing, because Stanlake Park didn't really have a reputation when I moved to Marlow. I know that Marlow Wine Society went to visit one time, and I didn't manage to make it because I was still working in London at the time, so I couldn't get back in time. But yeah, and it's not really carried itself. It's been kind of a quaint English winery that you could drop into and have a glass, but you probably wouldn't choose to buy the wines. And now you're turning around the actual winemaking as well as the branding, and I think those two together are really going to help make it
Nico decided to change pretty much everything. We tasted the wines when we arrived the first week. We tasted all the tanks, and Nico said,
at that time we don't have any reputation about English wine, because I never tried English wine before.
Well, apart from Nightingale,
Sparkling, yes.
That's the only thing that we knew when we arrived here. So we knew what we would know from generic or generally speaking things, but we need to try everything. So we taste all the tanks, and we needed to actually figure out what was there in the tank. So it was a very fun exercise. And Nico said, yes, but they're all short. I remember Nico saying,
that is my first.
How is the range different then versus to how it is now?
Well, you talk, so I drink. I can talk. Well,
I remember wine.
I remember, the wines were elite. There's nothing wrong with that, but they were lacking a bit in flavors.
Also, most of them they were quite old.
Yeah, a bit old, and
too many years in the bottle.
Yeah, there were some rosé 2014, kind of a bit tired.
And were the grapes radically different to what you're working with now?
No, grapes are the same actually. Well,
the grapes are the same, but we change pruning system, we change management, everything. They look like a new Ferrari.
Yeah. It's all the kind of management that we changed completely. Nico made Nico's dad come in January, and they pruned together all the stages.
10 full days.
Yeah, 10 days full pruning, because the plants were like big ballerina.
Big lobster.
Yeah.
A lot of very old trunk.
Yeah.
And we changed to new Guyot.
Yeah. To increase the yields, to increase also the health of the plants and the health of the grapes as well. Yeah, they were all full of old trunks, big trunks, and so that all the plants were struggling and giving shape to all these old trunks and all this permanent wood, which was a waste of energy for the plant. And they were like very struggling, and Nico cut them all.
Tons of wood.
Yeah, it was a big bonfire.
When my father arrived here, I say, okay, Nico, we have to buy a big chainsaw. We have to start.
Yeah, we were pruning with the chainsaw.
We didn't use any secateurs, just chainsaw.
Wow.
Cut them off. Yeah, he just chose the best cane and tied the two canes.
And remove everything.
So you need to make a wine and call it chainsaw. You should make a wine and call it chainsaw. Yeah.
Very
yeah, it's scary, you know. In the
chainsaw massacre. Yeah, I don't know. Like.
Ben has to have a flower for a chainsaw.
I'm sure.
That's your job. Flower chainsaw.
Come up with something.
Yeah, we will.
So yeah, talking about the grapes and changing them. The Bacchus were already there. I mean, what are these? Tell us about the Bacchus and then tell us about the wine.
Yeah. Well, yes, the Bacchus are there. We have some Bacchus. We have also some Bacchus. Sometimes we share some Bacchus with other producers, which is our favorite Bacchus producer, which is Phil Rossi from Oakengrove.
Very good.
He has the best
Bacchus
Bacchus grapes in the world. Well, we say. but like he has all these beautiful grapes.
Because you make wines for other.
Yeah, we make wines for other people. We have
at the moment seven.
Yeah, control winemaker. Phil Rossi from Oakengrove is one. Danbury in Hampshire, we make their wine too. And the others are smaller. Yeah, a smaller family.
How would you say the terroir? Because you know how Bacchus can exhibit even between Surrey and Sussex and Hampshire. How does the soil and terroir from Berkshire give it, like, would you say there's something characteristic, or is it too early to really say how each region gives a different nuance to the grape?
I think, like, sticking with Bacchus, we've been to the Bacchus trade tasting last year, organized by Richard Banfield, and it was 50 Bacchus, 40 Bacchuses. It was pretty much all the Bacchuses in England. And I think the thing that shocked me, because that was April or something, we would just arrive here. The Bacchus, you could really tell the varietal character.
Yes, a very strong footprint.
Yeah, it's kind of
it's like a Sauvignon.
Obvious when it's Bacchus. Compare with, I don't know, if you grow Chardonnay, and if you do it in Puglia, it's different. If you do it here, it's different. You know, the Chardonnay adapts a lot to the terroir, but Bacchus is like Bacchus. It's always Bacchus. Although there were some wineries that were playing with oak and some batonnage and some other
I think
stuff.
that Bacchus is more grapes that express, you can play a lot with the winemaking part instead of the
right.
Yeah, I think so. I think it's not something, it kind of goes the same wherever, I mean, in our super little humble opinion, it kind of grows very similar, whereas you have things, you can use the Bacchus, like sometimes the Bacchus, this is Bacchus 2018, the one in whoever bought the Pagis tasting. This year, 2018, was an outstanding, super hot vintage. And so the grapes were super ripe. And you can tell that there's not a lot of gooseberry, elderflower kind of green character. That is still there, but there's also some like mangoes and passion fruits, like peach. So it's a bit more ripe and a bit more tropical than usual Bacchus. Whereas the Bacchus 2019 that we have in the tanks and we tasted, it was more like a standard Bacchus.
Yes.
Which is good. It's kind of a more like a standard Sauvignon. Yeah. This one is a little less Bacchusy, Bacchus. It's a little more fruity than a standard Bacchus, but I guess you need to taste like a lot of Bacchus to tell difference. But I think that this vintage in particular is very successful because it's very ripe. It's very, very ripe. Yeah, what I was saying. Yeah, about Bacchus district.
We've had a question from Matthew, who is asking why there are Sauvignon Blanc comparisons, because he doesn't see the similarity. From my point of view, Bacchus takes the role in the same drinking occasion that Sauvignon Blanc would. So today, really hot, sitting outside, you want the high acidity, you want the green fruits, you want the kind of the sharpness to it. So that's what I was referring to. But in terms of, from a winemaker point of view, is there a similarity between Bacchus and Sauvignon Blanc, or am I saying the wrong thing by making that comparison?
You did Sauvignon Blanc in Romania.
Yeah, are similar because when you ferment this kind of grapes, the fermentation aroma are very typical, like either flower, you know, typical. If it's Bacchus, Sauvignon Blanc, they are very close. At different grapes, but during the fermentation, they have the same profile of aroma.
Yeah, so there's for whoever is not super expert during fermentation. I always explain this in the tool because it seems like very stupid things to say, but a lot of people don't know why am I drinking wine and it tastes like elderflower? Have you put elderflower there? No, obviously not. So when the wine is fermenting, apart from creating alcohol and CO2, there are other things that are created, and there are those primary aromas. So they're just compounds that just taste exactly the same as other compounds that you can find in other things. So Sauvignon Blanc has a profile, and that profile is because the grapes, every time that you ferment the Sauvignon Blanc grapes, it always gives flavors of
fermented aroma.
Yeah, exactly. But it seems so stupid for us that we study and we know about wine, blah, blah, blah. But for normal people, they say, why there's strawberry in my Pinot Noir? And a lot of people just forget to explain that it's not strawberry that you put inside the wine. It's created during the fermentation. Yeah, it's just chemistry. But I know it sounds very stupid, but a lot of people during my tour say, really? Because I didn't know that before meeting.
You know nothing.
Yeah, I'm used to be. I mean,
you're studying your diploma. You know stuff. Dan's saying that he's amazed by the passion fruit. Is that something that you think might be specific to 2018 because it was so hot, or do you think that might be something that carries on?
Yes, especially when it's very hot vintage, very well ripe. You will move from green elderflower asparagus to tropical aroma.
Stone fruit tropical. I think it's more like a 2018 feature. That said, we don't know how hot it's going to be, for instance, this year. We never know. I mean, today is hot.
It's very hot.
Today is hot for English people, not for me. But yes, it's hot.
Well, I saw Phil from Oaken Grove who grows the good Bacchus grapes the other day, because he's building a terrace and restaurant. So really excited about that opening soon.
Yeah.
And he was saying the weather's been really good. So hopefully we'll get
hopefully another Bacchus fruit. Bacchus coming. Yeah, maybe.
There are 3 more months. It's a lot of time.
Still a long time to go.
Yeah. Well, we've got a comparison to Denby's limestone Bacchus, and Mandy is preferring this one. So,
well done.
What kind of soil is your Bacchus grown on? I'm assuming the Denby's is on limestone, but what?
Yeah, we have more loam and clay. We have different proportions of loam and clay, so it's not very limestoney here. That can be a different, Or maybe that the Denby's one, maybe it wasn't 2018. Maybe it was another vintage. Yeah, I don't know.
Could be. I need to go and get the King's Fumé out of the fridge. I didn't want to take it out because my Bacchus is almost boiling now in this heat. So yeah, if everyone wants to open the King's Fumé, and then we'll talk about that. So I'll hand it over to you, Amelia, for a sec.
Awesome.
Right, so well, the King's, in the meantime, while summer comes and goes, the King's is a blend, 50% Chardonnay, 50% Oaken Grove. I'm sorry.
Ortega.
Yeah. So Ortega is a grape that nobody knows. I didn't know. Ortega is a grape that behaves very similar to Sauvignon Blanc, so Chardonnay.
Come on, what's happening?
Sorry. It behaves very similar to Chardonnay. So that means that has this good oak affinity and lees affinity, and it has these kind of lovely things that the Chardonnay has, but is actually born in Germany, even if it has a Spanish name, which is very confusing. And Ortega, being created or born in a cool climate country, it just adapts better to our conditions. So that means that it ripes every year. Whereas Chardonnay here, it ripes not every year.
So it depends.
Yeah. Chardonnay here can be more consistently used for sparkling wine, because for sparkling wine, we don't need your grapes to be very, very ripe. But for a still wine, you might need to wait to something very 2018 to get your Chardonnay ripe. And Nico knows all the Chardonnay that we receive, and
sometimes it's a screaming Chardonnay.
Yeah, like last year we had some Chardonnay from other people that were absolutely ripe. It was like hard.
It was
grapes.
lemon. It was no grapes.
They were still hard. They were still hard.
End of October was very.
Yeah, it was the end of October, and the owner of this Chardonnay just just harvest them because
Say, Nico, make a miracle.
it won't mature in November. So it was what's done is done. And they were still hard and green. It was like 2 months lack of ripeness. So obviously to do that, those grapes can still work for sparkling. How much was the acidity of that one?
14 gram liter of tartaric. 14.
As for whoever doesn't know, 14 is madness. It's like lemon juice. It's like too much.
Yeah.
But for sparkling wine can be good. But if you want to make something like the King's Soma, you can't use grapes because it's just acidity and no flavor.
For this reason, we use this kind of blend because we looking for the character of Chardonnay extractor, and we use the Ortega because we can have a ripe fruit.
Yeah. So for those who have opened the King's Soma today, like Soma, there's a lot of peach and cream.
I want to try this wine so badly. This is so my kind of wine, just everything.
Yeah. Well, particularly in California, it's kind of a very California Chardonnay. And I remember Ben said it's popcorn.
Really?
Popcorn.
Guys, maybe I could be an ambassador to it. Like maybe that's the inroad into. Maybe that should be it before Bacchus.
Yeah.
In the market. Yeah.
I think what I love about this Chardonnay is it's one to have on the rack. You know, when you're craving a Chard and you've forgotten to put anything in the fridge, and it just has it's got all of that lovely Chardonnay flavor that you'd expect, and it's got subtle oak influence, but it's just got that raging high acid that you can't escape it from England. But it's got that acidity that brings all the freshness, and it can make up for it not being at room temperature. I have put mine in the fridge, but you can take it to the park, and you don't have to worry about it not being refrigerated because it's still going to be really refreshing, and you can eat it with a cheese.
Wow.
And the acidity is going to cut through just about any kind of level of oil or fat. It's just that's what I really love about English wines, and I think that this demonstrates it really, really well.
Yeah.
Back on.
Oh, I didn't really introduce Benedict. Benedict, do you want to introduce yourself? Because you know about wine as well. You're not just a designer.
Sorry. So, hi everyone. I actually went to art college. I did in a graphic design, and that's kind of how I built up a career in hospitality, and it's through hospitality that I got into wine, and I found myself into something I'm probably more passionate about, but obviously I still love design as well, and that's and so I met Natalia because we were studying together, and I'll bring the story in later.
Okay, yeah.
We met
studying diploma. Yeah, Soma is also doing her diploma. It's like diploma. I don't want to think about it because I'm not studying everything for October. Oh, shit. Right. So some other people say King's Soma is simply stunning. Yeah, popcorn. Somebody else got the popcorn. Well done.
I don't know if it's good or not, but
yeah, it sounds very, it's that kind of, well, yes, so there is some subtle oak, as Ben was saying, there's a 20% new oak there, French barrels that we have in the winery, and also it's unfined and filter, because we didn't want to ripe the nature.
Because it's the king. We want to give to our customer the entire king without filter, without
no filter. It's a small batch. Is that how many?
They were 4 barrels, less than 1,000 bottles.
Yeah, so we didn't want to. Sometimes when you're filtering the wine, for those who doesn't know, you can get rid of some potential sediments, yes, but also you can lose some flavors. And we work so hard to get those flavors.
Honestly, there are studies that each time that you move the wine or you filter, you lose between 5 and 10% of the extract of the aroma.
Even when you bottle it, if you go and you taste it straight from the tank, and then after that you've been bottling, and particularly if that day there's some issue with the bottling machine, or it always happens, something happens always to everybody, and you lose some extra time, and the more time it goes on when you're bottling, you're always losing flavors. So we wanted the King's Soma to be really, really full of flavor. So we said,
be treated like a king.
Yeah, like a king. So no finding, no filtering. It can happen some deposit on the bottle, but I think it's worth it.
You have to enjoy that.
Yeah, good deposit. It's always
It's
Hamlet.
part of the
It's part of the game, yeah.
With the name King's
Right.
Fumé,
Do you have any other wines which you don't filter?
Not for now, not for now, but it's. I'm sorry. No, I would say it was something that we could consider. We tried with this wine, and we could consider for the future, not filtering.
Probably for you know.
But for the
Our
reds,
top red,
yeah.
Not for a normal white or rosé.
Not for the Bacchus or for the rosé. We want those wines to be refreshing, young, and very easy to drink. And we don't expect them to age. We expect people just to grab that bottle and just finish that bottles now.
As soon as possible.
Yeah, this summer they have to go because there's more coming anyway.
Oof, a lot.
yeah. And I was just going to ask about the name. So you inherited the name, the King's Fumé, and it's always been Stanlake Park's like, most popular thing.
Yeah.
And when I first saw it,
yeah,
I thought, oh, it's going to be Sauvignon Blanc, like Puy Fumé, but it's Chardonnay. But
Yeah.
what's the Fumé element?
the Fumé element is the oak, is the smoke oak. We didn't put that name. We probably wouldn't have chosen that name anyway. But as you were saying, within all the range of Stanlake Park, there were wines that didn't have a good reputation, but the only one that had like a consistent good reputation was the King Fumé. So we didn't want to change too much that. Is the King's is because in the logo of Stanlake Park there's a house, that's the manor house of the state, and there's one window there that it's supposed to have, it's been donated by one king of you. Sorry, we don't know a lot of history of some of your kings in the 15th, 1600s, some king of you. And that's why they wanted to honor with the top white the king. And the Fumé, yeah, is this kind of the smoke of the oak, kind of the Fumé Blanc in California. But yeah, I think it's that.
More than Fumé, I will say is like a brioche, fresh bread, creamy.
Yeah, the wine, but I guess the name. I don't know. I assume they were thinking of the oak, the use
Right.
of oak. Yeah, in that, because it's the only white that is oak, or that was oak.
Yes.
Yeah. For now.
Oh, apparently Fumé Blanc was coined by Robert Mondavi.
Yeah,
Thanks for that,
Simon
Mandy.
David. Yeah. Sure. Yeah. Right.
And with the because we're tasting all still wines today, and English sparkling wine has got a name for itself, and you know I love Night Timber,
Yeah.
and I love some of the other sparklings as well, and it's English still wine is still a bit. Should I really? Should I buy that?
Yeah, I know. Every day in the shop. Today,
We fight with that.
Yeah, today we have a customer. I say, yeah, but I don't know English red, and then trust me.
Yeah, but it's an Italian winemaker
And
now.
I always say the same,
Everything
so I can
changed.
oh, but don't worry, it's an Italian winemaker. Like, oh, okay. But yeah, within the marketing strategy that we wrote when we came here, just to win ourselves a place here, we were already focusing on still wines because I understand that the area and the terroir and the soil and everything and the grapes that are planted here, the majority of the grapes that are planted here were made thinking of sparkling wine, and that many have the dream of making England become champagne #2, which I respect completely. But I still had to run a winery, and I know that my customers will have a bottle of sparkling wine from time to time, but that when they pop into the shop, they are looking for a white, they're looking for a red, they're looking for a rosé, they're looking
wine, not just
for something to drink this weekend. And some bubbles, yes, but maybe if they make a case of 6, they have 1 bubble, and then they have other 5 bottles. And we are lucky to have a range because we have a lot of different grape varieties, because somebody in the 70s, when they started, planted like 30 grape varieties. So we can play with that and we can make a range. And so when they come into the shop, it feels like a little wine shop. You know, there's 5 whites, now there's going to be 3 reds, a rosé, 4 sparkling. It's not just, 3 bottles of wine of a little winery down there. And still wine is what we are really, really passionate. I mean, I'm from Argentina. He's Italian. We have no idea.
From the south.
Yeah, from the south. Yeah. Exactly. So we will always keep doing our traditional method sparkling wine. We have a rosé that we just launched today, literally.
Oh, congratulations.
Yeah, a new rosé, a new batch. Just because, we ran out of the previous one too quickly. So we were ready anyway. We launched the new. And we're going to keep our 2 whites. Kind of one is made in a very easy to drink style, and the other one is aged for longer, so it's a little more complex. But that's it. The rest we want to do, and we want to go on still wines. And as I was saying to an interview recently to Drinks Business, we are focused on making affordable English wine, still wine, which is not easy, and it takes Nico a lot of time.
But it's possible.
Yeah, it's possible. He just had to cut costs in the vineyard and cut costs in the winery, and we need to be very efficient in every little thing we do, because otherwise, every little thing you do, even I don't know if we Ben can also say that if we add some foil into your label, then it's a little more money, then it has an impact on the bottle. So everything collaborates to keep our prices down, and that's what we're trying to do in everything, increasing the yields, changing to Guyot, because otherwise we don't want people to spend £40 for a bottle of red, because they will spend it once, but not every
Also
week.
because this is England. Compared with Romania, here everything is 10 times more expensive.
Yeah. It was very easy to make wine in Romania.
In Romania, it's very easy to make wine, to find people to work. It's £10 for all day.
Yeah, here
is £10 a hour.
Half an hour. Everything. You need to call. That's a lot of people that things that people don't know. You need to call an electrician, because when you have a lot of machines, something always breaks. And you need to call an electrician. £60 per hour.
No, half hour.
Half an hour. £60. I mean, it's a lot. And every day something happens, and you have to pay that, and you have to repair this, and you have to change that, and then you have to pay for your plants and the sprays and the tractor, and the tractor, something is broken, and £100. Everything is £100. And so everything is like 100 always. Just to start talking. So obviously, those things have an impact on the single bottle of wine, because at the end of the day, that's what we sell. But yeah, we're trying to not paying £100 every time an electrician comes. Nico is developing electrician skills, plumber, electrician, everything, because otherwise you need to price your bottles more, and then people will come to the shop and they will say, why is English wine so expensive? And you say, oh, don't make me explain.
Welcome to England.
Yeah, because everything is expensive here. And making wine is so expensive. And then you work so hard, and Nico prune everything. And then in May, the frost. And the frost, with us, it was not that bad. It was about 30%, 35% of losses. Other vineyards that I know, they just wipe out everything of all the future grapes of the year. So if we already know that if we have plans to make a certain amount of grape this year, we know already that a third of it is down. So we're counting on the rest 2/3, hoping for not too much rain and not too much disease. But obviously, when you have just a few grapes, then you can't sell the wine for £5 like a Pinot Grigio in Tesco. You can't compete with that. But those guys that make the £5 Pinot Grigio in Tesco, and it's €1 in the winery. 90 cents of euro in the winery. They have thousands of hectares, and they make an economy of scale. So obviously they don't worry about the electrician £60 for half an hour. So it's a different kind of running a business. Yeah. But yeah, we're still gonna make it. We're still very affordable.
I will give you a very affordable English outstanding wine.
Yeah.
So I'm a fan, I'm a fan. Question from, we've got a question from Francesca asking about your rosé. Which grapes are in them?
Pinot Noir. Just Pinot Noir. For the rosé, yes. For the reds, we use a lot of Dorfender. We have some rosé here. We use a lot of Dorfender for the reds because Dorfender ripes every year, whereas Pinot Noir ripes for the sparkling, same thing that we were talking about Chardonnay, but also it gets up to Rosa, but not every year it gets all the phenolic maturation for a good red. So we use more the for the whites, sparkling whites, and the rosé. And this
I know that is such a gorgeous bottle. Francesca's just keen on look at that. I mean, it's stunning, absolutely stunning.
Yeah. This is one of my favorite labels, and my other favorite is the one that you don't know. Obviously, Ben knows, which is the Wisteria, which is coming with the Pinot Noir red that we're going to launch this autumn. That's beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah, it's amazing because you changed that as well. Like when you showed me the change from the previous rosé, you know, you changed the label, the bottle shape, and
bottle shape. Yeah,
the cork, wine, everything.
So the
paler rosé as well.
Grand Reserve, King's Hume, and Rosé, they are all Burgundy bottles. These are Burgundy shade bottles. Whereas Bacchus is still on a Bordeaux bottle. And I say still because with Nico we are considering moving all to Burgundy bottles.
Our range.
Just because we like them. No really important, very serious explanation. We just like
it's the shape.
Yeah, the shape.
It's more elegant.
It's more elegant than it's less supermarket. I don't know. It's less.
You thought about putting your Gewürz and your more aromatic wines in a Hawkshead bottle?
Yeah. Well, they used to make. We have a small vineyard. The wall garden is planted with Gewürztraminer, which is quite unusual for England. And it's old vines, actually, Gewürztraminer, because those are the oldest. So it's 40 years old. Kind of old for England. I mean, it's not 100 years like in California, but it's 40 years vine. And in the past, they managed to harvest from that little vineyard, and they made half bottles of Gewürztraminer, and which I haven't tried. But last year, those vines were really, really suffering, and we didn't manage to get a lot of grapes. This year, Nico worked hard on those grapes and those vines were full of grapes, but frost came and frost took their own part. So I'm not sure how much Gewürztraminer we're going to harvest this year, but we'll definitely
probably we can blend with our Zigerebe that is also very aromatic grapes.
Yeah, if we manage to get some Zigerebe. Zigerebe is another grape that it's a German name. It just happens to taste very similar to Muscat. It's so muscatty. It's so sweet and aromatic and grapey. But last year, the bears have them all.
You have to fight with everybody.
We have to fight, but we didn't know that bears were a problem here because it was our first year. And we were just checking the grapes and saying, oh, they're just maturing so nicely, so beautiful. And you tasted, oh, this is going to be lovely. And then in 2 or 3 days, the bears ate them all entirely. Nothing, no Zigerebe. So, but yes, we're going to, definitely I want to do a late harvest Gewürztraminer.
Is it going to be sweet?
Maybe. Well, I mean, let's
like pasito. You like pasito?
Let's hope for a late harvest.
Yes,
it's not our decision.
Yeah.
It's English weather decision. But I want to do some Gewürztraminer and some single varietal Gewürztraminer, and we might put it in half bottles because it's not a lot. So yeah, it would never be a big quantity. Yeah. And with the Zigerebe, we're going to do our with Muscat.
So how many grapes do you work with in total then at the winery?
In total, we have 14 different grapes.
Oh, wow, fun.
Yeah, which the majority were completely obscure and unknown to us at the beginning. So I was like, what do we do with this? But there were some like pleasant surprise, like Zigerebe, oh, this is Muscat.
It's better to have that to don't.
Oh, absolutely.
You can play a lot.
Yeah, if we was just having Pinot Noir and Chardonnay, like
Very boring.
Yeah, a lot of wineries, vineyards that have been planted here, they were thinking only in sparkling. So they planted Pinot Noir and Chardonnay. That's it. So they don't have a lot of things to play with. They can only make Pinot Noir and Chardonnay unless they buy grapes from someplace else. We have a lot to have fun with. Yeah, that's for sure.
How many other wineries are there in Berkshire?
Berkshire, there is just a new.
No, there are others. Vineyards there are.
No, vineyard, yes.
Yeah. Wineries,
Just
well,
the
there's All Angels.
Is a vineyard.
It's a vineyard.
There is just a new that I don't remember the name, near Newbury.
Near Newbury, but they are not on the
not yet.
Not many. That's the
We are the only.
Yeah. That's the answer.
Amazing. Yeah, I was going to say, I couldn't think of it. Yeah. Yeah,
No.
that's awesome.
Yeah.
They're Chilterns, but not really Berkshire, right?
That's not Berkshire, that's Oxfordshire. Yeah.
In Buckinghamshire.
And you are in Buckinghamshire, like Harrow Hope.
Yeah.
So Berkshire is not very not
We have a monopoly.
not monopole. Yeah. Right.
Do you wanna
Shall we move
join-
to the red?
Yeah, should we go on to the red?
Should we go to the red? And yeah.
Ben?
Yeah. Do you want Ben? Do you want to talk about the labels now, or were you starving?
Yeah, thank you. Sorry. I had my own tasting just beforehand, and I just
All right.
I had a quick walk with the dog, and I didn't really have time for dinner. So I'm
Go ahead.
but I'm here and I'm listening.
No, I was because we're moving to the Grand Reserve. Do you want to? I mean, just the Grand Reserve is just the opposite, right? It's like
which is
Yeah.
which is lovely. I do quite like this wine.
By the way, I'm going to interrupt you. Ben was one of the first buying this wine last year, the Grand Reserve, before many of our other stockists, because I sent him a bottle, like he loved it, and you used it for some pop-up bars, did you, last year?
Yeah, that's right. So that was with a brand called Nomadic, who I worked with designing their wine list, and it was all about kind of feeding off the land. So it's like a pop-up restaurant in the woods, and you go on this foraging tour, and then you kind of cook the food that you had. And I was helping out, and they were just serving like supermarket. It was like, Barefoot Malbec, Tesco Prosecco, and I was like, God, so off-brand.
Yeah.
Local, and they're actually a 10-minute drive away from Stanlake Park, and so that worked really nicely, bringing them in. It's like, well, hold on a second, we're feeding local, let's drink local as well. So we worked on that. But from a label point of view, Natalia and me met on the diploma course, and it must have been at some stage in a bar conversation, Natalia remembered that I'd been to art college, because she approached me out of the blue and said, Ben, I need some help. I need someone to design some labels.
Yeah.
Everyone I've been to costs an absolute fortune.
You're cheap.
Yeah, and it's just, yeah. You're good.
You are good. Come on, no, cheap.
And it's just going to make them wine more expensive. It's all about running into those costs. It's like, well, hold on a second. I want to change these labels because they're not legal anymore. Let's face it, they're pretty ugly. I think most of us agree on that. And so I came in. I was like, yeah, I've got these cool ideas, bright colours, and I was like, well, what's your clientele? What target audience are you looking at? And she said, oh, it's most of my customers are kind of female, 40 to 60 bracket.
That was me.
Said that. And I said, well, let's do some lovely watercolor flowers, because I'd done lots of watercolors before. And she just said, yeah, let's go. Great. And I think because of that decision process happening so quickly, that was where we were able to save costs.
Yeah.
In designing the labels, because you can spend fortunes on design work, and it's because of this back and forth. You get these classic memes. I talk to designers. They're like, oh, you know, I'll talk to my clients. You present them work, and they're like, I want it to be brighter and bigger, but maybe more subtle at the same time. And you're like, how? No, you can't. And Natalia's been an absolute dream to work with. It's every time we send things over, and it's been a real like two-way. She suggests things, and it's a bit of feedback, and we're always building on it to create a label a visual that works really well for the wine, that represents the wine, and represents the direction that the winery is heading in. So I'm really happy with it. It was a pleasure working with you, but I'm really happy with the final result.
Yeah, absolutely. We had some. I knew that we were going to have a great feedback, and it was completely like that. People just went crazy for the labels. Some people said at the beginning, maybe it's too feminine, maybe men won't like it, and absolutely no. A lot of men saying, oh, that's beautiful, that's so powerful, and that really stands out. And
instead to give a flower to your wife, you can give a bottle of wine.
You can give it a bottle of wine and don't buy flowers.
It's very memorable. It's very memorable. You know, if people don't know English wine that well, they don't know the brands, they don't know the grapes, they don't know that it's clever to have something like that. Yeah, memorable, which stands out. Yeah.
But the process was also very smooth because, come on, it's just, what can I say? They were just so beautiful. I have nothing to say. He just sent me pictures of his flower that he made. I was like, yes, absolutely. I want that on my label. It was just too pretty. And you haven't seen my favorite yet. But yeah, and we also moved to single label. So yeah, that's the King's Fumet, all King's Fumet. I mean, come on.
Oh my goodness.
I know.
Makeover, oh yeah.
Yeah, it's just so corporate and boring, and we are not.
That's been nice, yeah.
Boring, but yeah, I was saying so only one label, because yeah, it's modern and it's nicer, but it also has some logistics behind. It's always one step less. So the machine will only apply one label, whereas when you have front and back, you need to print front and back. So it's not double the cost, but almost. Front labels, back labels are always cheaper, but you're still printing twice. So it's more expensive.
You have to make 2 plates.
You have to make 2 plates. You have to make everything double. And you're going to have your back label different from each of your wines because you might just write, the tasting notes and whatever. So that also helps us to save costs. But also, at a certain point of view, it's more sustainable. It's just avoiding useless printing and useless use of paper or anything. It's just one label. We don't need to print twice. And also, Ben's design is also very smart because it doesn't need any particular embellishment, and all the embellishment like gold foil, things like that. It's super
embossed, all of that.
Super expensive. So with his design, we didn't need to put a lot of money in making it, stand out. They already stand out. You don't need to do anything in particular to that and spend money.
Chapeau to Ben.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, he really will. But by the way, Ben, you have to start thinking of 2 other flowers. I'm going to write you an email later.
I'm here, don't worry.
More flowers coming.
Yeah, I appreciate the chapeau, but it really was a team effort, and I absolutely cannot take full credit for those labels. I think Natalia played an enormous role in kind of guiding the designer really well.
Thank you.
So much love.
But yeah, definitely people love it. People just love them. And I hope they will, as Amelia was saying, it's also important from remembering. And yeah, English wineries are not very famous. Stanlake Park is not famous yet. So at least now they're going to think, oh, that one with the flowers on the label. It's just a smart move.
Nico, do you want to give us some tasting notes for the reds?
Oh,
that's Nico's baby, right? You forgot about it because now you have other 4 babies. But last year it was like, oh, my baby.
The father never.
I never forget
never
this
forget
child.
the baby.
Was this Nico's first wine?
Yeah,
Yes.
it was Nico's first wine here. So it is the only one with the old labels that has Nico's signature in the back.
Oh,
Nico always puts his signature in every winery he has
For the
worked.
good and for the
The good and the bad is
Oh.
his fault. So
yeah.
it's his signature. If you hate it, talk to this guy.
yeah.
Go ahead.
I create this wine when I arrive here. I just choose the best barrel that we have in the barrique. I decide this will be the Grand Reserve. I just choose the best that we find. I found the cellar.
Yeah.
Is a 2-year age in the barrel, just 20% new, French. Is a blend of Dorfender, very small quantity of Rondo, a very, very small quantity of Regent.
Yeah, which nobody knows.
Nobody knows.
Yeah, but it's another grape.
The most important is the Dorfender.
Yeah, it's 85%.
Now is already 1 year age in the bottle. That is very important. It's changed a lot.
It's changing. Yeah.
You can. My favorite is I can get the Kirsch. You know the Kirsch?
Yeah, like the
Or Maraschino in Italian, you know?
Maraschino. Yeah, there's a Francesca there, so she might know what Maraschino is.
Yes. A lot forest.
Yeah, forest flower.
Forest floor.
Yeah.
Yes. A lot spicy. You can get also some vanilla from the French oak, but very slight because I don't like over oak. I'm not fan of the over oak wine. I like always to looking for the balance between acidity, alcohol. And one important thing of all my wine is the long aftertaste. It's like a crunch after you swallow. You can feel a lot the quiche, the cherry.
Yeah, but yeah, it is changing. It's getting kind of as leather,
tobacco
is going in that direction. The last year it wasn't. It was more secondary. And now it's secondary and tertiary. We just forget about them because we sometimes, you know, everyday life, you just forget about tasting your own wines. And we opened our Grand Reserve this winter again, and it might have been like several months without tasting. And we said, "Oh, what's going on here? It's getting different."
Normally we don't drink our wine.
Yeah, normally we drink beer, but don't tell our customers. Oh, the dog, listen, hear me. Yeah, we drink a lot of beer. But yeah, well, we drink a lot of wine too, but we normally drink other people's wine.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And how long do you think this wine could live for? Like, you know, age?
2-3 years more without no problem.
Yeah, maybe more, but Nico is not the one of the keeping guys.
No.
Yeah, I think it can go much more, but he is kind of drink.
If it's good, I will drink now.
Yeah. I know that here in England, people tend to overage the wine. A lot of people just no, let's wait, and even wines that are not meant to age. And I've been talking with people that I know, yes, I'm waiting for this. It's already 10 years old, and it's a white, no oaks, no batonnage, there's nothing that will increase the life of that wine. So if I don't know, maybe it doesn't go bad, but it's just going to lose what it has. So not every wine is meant to keep. Yeah.
Definitely the US market, they're not used to aged wines.
Yeah.
Like they'll drink their big Napa Cabernet 1 or 2 years old, you know, and I'm like, this is infanticide. But yeah, I know what you mean. Not every single, not every single wine should be.
No, absolutely not. Yeah, and also the Grand Reserve is already multi-vintage. We have this, Nico has this approach of blending the best vintages. So not with reds here.
Especially here in England.
Yeah.
Because not all the vintage are the same. Because I want to give always a good stuff to my customer. I try to just make some cuvée, some vintage blend to give, you know, consistency. This is the most important word.
Yeah, because it's not that every year you're going to have a ripe red, and we need to make red every year because our customer will like red every year. So what we do is the same approach of champagne, which is create reserve wines, and then we just blend them according to what we're trying to do. So the Grand Reserve is a multi-vintage 2015, 16, and 17. So it has kind of the best features of every year.
The new red that we launched is the Reserve. We have 17, 18, and 19.
And 19, yeah. Whereas the Pinot Noir red, that's a single vintage, and that's 2018. Because in 2018 it was ripe and warm enough to ripen the Pinot Noir grapes, but it's more like an exception.
Yeah.
So a lot of other wineries have made Pinot Noir 2018. We have many here in our cellar that we bought as well. 2018 was a good year to make Pinot Noir.
Also, doesn't Pinot Noir, it needs a lot of vine age, because there's definitely some wineries, well, I'm thinking of one in particular which I visited 8 years ago, and I tried their Pinot and I was like, not sure about this, but now, like, with the vine age, I'm like, it's now so much more expressive and balanced and structured. Like, that definitely does seem to be great, where you do need the vine age too.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, the plants need to grow and get their own balance, and the roots and the green parts of the plant, and they need to get their own balance to properly ripen and properly give a lot of flavor to the grape. So yeah, absolutely. Some time is, and our vines are quite old. Yeah, our vines. The only young vines that we have is the little baby Solaris that we planted, and you saw them somewhere. They're so tiny and cute. They're just like this now. They're so cute. But we tried this Solaris in with a friend that is also studying the diploma, and she's from Sweden, and she brought one day to the lesson a couple of bottles that his brother made using Solari grapes in Sweden. Oh my goodness. And we tasted them, and they were super ripe. It was like tasting, I don't know, a Chenin Blanc from South Africa. And so, oh, this grape is fantastic. So I told Nico, and then we try other Solaris, and he said yes.
Yeah, but the important thing that is resistant.
Well, that's what I would say. I mean, it grows in Sweden. If it grows and ripes in Sweden, we can make it.
It's a piece of cake here.
Yeah, it's a piece of cake. Should be, yeah.
We've got a question from Dan asking, are you going to produce any other 2018 red single varieties?
No. Not red. We don't have any more. That's the grapes we have. We're like a very, I mean, in English terms, we're kind of a medium producer. Yes. From our eyes, we're like a tiny producer.
One small tank in the cellar.
Yeah, that's a tank. And that Pinot Noir. And also the thing with Pinot Noir, that Pinot Noir, we use them for the Rosa, and we use them for the sparkling. So we have had, Pinot Noir is have a good proportion between the grapes that we planted here. But now, not anymore, not more than that, 2018. But the other 2018 ones, it's the Bacchus that we're tasting now. It's 2018. And that's it. The Rosa is sold out, and we're doing 2019 now. I don't think we have nothing less. Well, no. Fortunately, the wines sell. So we got that. Somebody has them in their own, but we don't have them.
That's the aim, though, isn't it? Like, to make sure you sell it, because otherwise you're sat on loads of wine, especially the fresh ones like the Bacchus and the Rosé. You need to drink it.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely. We don't want to keep the white wines in the cellar, and that was something that Stanlake Park was doing before we came. It's just keeping the wines in the cellar. What are we doing? Just sell it.
The idea is to keep the flow.
Yeah. But also, it's the right time for drinking. Yeah. Bacchus in 1 year, Bacchus, I don't know. Well, who knows? We have some bottles that we're going to keep them, but I think it's going just to lose. It's going to age anyway. It has all this acidity to sustain the aging, but I don't think it's going to get better. I think it's going to lose flavors. So why keep it? Yeah. Go for it. Drink it.
Do you think you might do a barrel-aged Bacchus?
Not for the moment.
No, I don't think so. I taste other wineries that made some oak fermentation or oak aging for Bacchus. Wasn't impressed with the results, to be honest. Personal taste. So no, I think Bacchus has to be fruity, stainless steel.
Refreshing.
Yeah, that's the kind of Bacchus I like.
Yeah.
And then you've got your you said Pinot Noirs coming out in the autumn.
And we also have the Madeleine, which year?
Oh, yes.
2019 Madeleine. Yeah. I think Ben, you try it from the tank.
Also Soma.
Soma tried it from the tank as well.
Actually, really enjoyed the Madeleine.
Yeah, it's very aromatic. That's one of the flowers I think. And what else we're going to launch? The new Regatta, which is a blend, different blend, but it's a multi-vintage.
Probably will be multi-vintage.
Yeah,
Yes.
he hasn't decided. The boss here
I will decide.
hasn't decided. Yeah. But yeah, we have other 3 wines coming this year. So it's kind of a year between COVID.
You're like Antinori, we launch a lot of wine.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, how did COVID affect the winery?
Right, so quite positively, can I say that? Am I allowed to say that we have like a positive impact of COVID? We've been doing very well with sales, pretty much like all the off trade. I think everybody has been doing very well. The thing with us, we have 2 advantages that prevent us from going down during lockdown. One, our website was already selling wine, so we didn't have to make an e-commerce as many wineries were taken by surprise. And we had to, yeah, we were already selling online, and maybe not a lot of wine, but all the tours, bookings of the tours and everything. So our website was already there, nothing new. And then I was about to say something else. And then that the majority of our sales, the composition of the global sales, it's not the on-trade, not the trade. So not more than 20% or perhaps less than 20% of our global sales go to the trade. So when the on-trade close from one day to another, it doesn't really change a lot to us, because the majority of our wines anyway are sold through our cellar shop or online, or from the stockists that we have, they're off trade, so they were actually doing well as well. We don't have a lot of our wines in restaurants and pubs and everything, so it wasn't. Yeah, so we lost the tours. We have 3 months of people that were booked into the tours, and they're now rebooking. We are starting our tours again in the end of July. So all the people are now just rebooking all their own places. I think I saw like an hour ago, and pretty much the majority of our Saturdays are sold out already. They're very popular, our tours. From local people even do them once or twice, even 3 times. They kind of come every year and do the tour. And so that's, yes, we lost that, but we still compensate a lot with the sales. And the wine bar was closed and now is open again in July the 4th, so you can just come and have a glass of wine in the garden. So that's something that works very well, particularly with this weather.
Beautiful garden.
And the weddings were suspended. Yeah. But yeah, generally speaking, COVID has had a positive impact on our sales. I'm not saying that COVID is a positive thing, but facts are facts, and actually our numbers were very good.
Also because English people stay at home, they drink a lot of wine.
And well, the good thing of this thing, if something can be positive of all this, is that a lot of people decided to support local and buy local. And so English wine was like, last year wasn't really important, and this year kind of a lot of people goes to discover English wine, and we're now in English Wine Week, and there's a lot of people talking about it. And even my customers, I pop in and, yeah, we're in English Wine Week. I say, wow, well done. Like 70 years old customer. It's like, yes, we are. Yeah, it's something that you wouldn't expect last year. I remember English Wine Week last year, nobody knew.
Oh yeah, so true.
Nothing. So there's a lot of more attention to English wine, English beer, English everything. So
especially after Brexit.
Yeah, and then we have Brexit. Yeah, I guess. But yeah, there's a lot of shop local, support local thing, and
we are the only in Berkshire.
And we are down here, so yeah, it was good for us. But also, it was good to have all the support from the people, and we really appreciate that. Because it's when I start my tours, I always say the same thing. My only objective in the tours is just convince English people that English wine is not rubbish. That's the only thing I want to do. Because I think one of the first, maybe not now, but until last year, one of the first enemies of English wine production, it was just English people. That they were just convinced that now English wine is rubbish. It doesn't worth it. It's expensive and it's bad. So, and I remember people coming to the tour, and a lot of people would just tell me the truth, like, I came just to drink, but I don't really care about English wine. So, but at the end of the tour, you know, I was like, well, this is actually not bad.
Oh,
Well, yeah, it's not. It's drinkable. Yeah.
I hate that word.
Yeah, he hates the drinkable one. But yeah, I think people just are given an opportunity to English wine, let's say. And of course, in every market in the world, there are good examples, there are bad examples, there are mediocre examples of everything. But at least people are given the chance to, at least they're tasting it. So that's more than last year, yeah. I think that's the best consequence of COVID or lockdown. People willing to try English wine.
Can I ask where you see the future of where you would like to see, in which direction you'd like to see Stanlake Park head in? So in terms of growth, there's kind of, let's say there's, you know, increase in kind of productivity, or is it increase in price, or something more complex?
No, we want to keep it not small, but keep it medium.
Boutique.
Yeah, keep it boutique. We're not trying to go too premium either, because we want people to have the chance to taste the wines and to drink the wine. So we don't want to make it something only for people that can spend money, or only to have a special bottle and at a special occasion. We want our wines to be everyday kind of drinking. And in order to cover that, because it's not easy to make a small quantity and not charge a lot, because then the numbers don't match. So we are really moving forward towards the hospitality side. So we have a lot of plans and a lot of projects in the States to make more things to do. So not only the tours, not only the wine bars, but some things that I promise I couldn't say. But we have some big projects for, we have heritage protected buildings, and we are going to use the buildings to create something that people can visit very often. I'm not saying
Some Italian restaurant.
And yeah, and also some place to eat, and we are already investing in accommodation. Yeah. So people can have for a weekend, and a lot of vineyards have them already. It's a nice weekend out to go somewhere, to have a tasting, to drink wine, to do a tour, and then to sleep over. So we are going into that direction. Small production of great quality wines, and to compensate the lack of premium prices, where we want to do other stuff on the state. Yeah. And I promise I wouldn't say a lot, but because there's some ideas that we have with the owner of the state that we're trying to develop quite soon. But yeah, it's
top secret for the moment.
It's top secret for the moment. But it regards our buildings, our old structure. It's heritage protected. So when you come here, you can really see things. It's not just a modern shed that we just open, some stainless steel tanks. Well, Ben has been here, Soma has been here.
Nobody
so
realized that this is a cellar.
Yeah, it doesn't really look like a cellar. So we want to use that as a premium thing. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, and once you're allowed to spread the word, let me know, and I'll tell everyone.
Like usual.
Yeah, so sign up to my newsletter on my website, and I'll let everyone know as soon as we can. For those of you, I should have said this at the start, and I apologise. For those of you who are new to the webinars, there's a chat box and there's a Q&A box. So if you wanted to ask any questions, now's the time to do it, because I forgot to mention it earlier. Hopefully we've been answering some comments as we've gone through. It's been absolutely delightful. We've had one question who asked about the tool that Benedict was using for his wines, and I still, for the next, 6 days, 5-6 days, I've still got a code where you can get 10% off Coravan. As someone pointed out, they are quite pricey, but for people like us who are drinking or tasting lots of wines, it's invaluable. Like we have to have one pretty much. And then next week we're actually having Nico's not going to be joining us, but Natalia will be coming back. We are, and you know, you can get to try the rosé in a magnum. I had a chat with Lee Isaacs on Instagram recently, and he asked me what my favorite ice cream was for some reason, and I explained it was a mini magnum, and then Natalia commented, of course it's a magnum, yeah, the word magnum, and it has to be a mini one in a different size. So next week, kind of personality comes across. I like magnums, I like half bottles, I like bag-in-box wine, I like canned wine. Amelia does too. So we're going to be kind of smushing that all together next week and talking about different formats.
And I'll be bringing in one of my US wine friends who has her own wine in a can range, Nomadica Wines, and she's a really switched on, savvy entrepreneur. So I'm really excited to have Kristen on next week.
Yeah, I'm really excited Kristen's joining us, because she'll be able to give us a view or two of
the US,
the
absolutely,
US picture.
US insights, and yeah. And I'm going to be doing. I don't really drink wines from cans that often, but I just went to my local Whole Foods, because everyone knows now that is like my local supermarket. And I don't drive in LA. I'm an oxymoron. I actually bought 5 different cans of rosé. So I'm going to be doing like a video of like actually how does one really appreciate, like, you know, do you need to be able to pour it into a glass to appreciate what can you look for and the nuances from a canned wine? So yeah, some fun packaging. So I'm excited about it.
Yeah, I'm excited to hear that too. And we've got Robert Joseph joining us as well. So for those of you who don't know him, he is, should I say, notorious in the wine trade rather than famous for bringing in the opposing opinion and getting people to you know, think about things in a different way and think about things from the consumer's perspective. And from my marketing background, I'm always trying to think of the consumer, and I am a consumer. So yeah, so we're going to be chatting all about those. What was that, Natalia?
No, I was saying we all are consumers, so it's so super important to think of our consumer perspective. And there are a lot of wine experts that they just forget about the consumer, and they just think of their own preferences or their own ideas of wine, or whatever they study or whatever they think about wine. When we are thinking about wine, or we were making about wine, we're always thinking and tasting and saying, how many people will like this? Will people love this? Because it's not wine that we make for ourselves. Is that even it actually doesn't really matter if we love them or not. The important thing for us is that there are wines that will reflect what we feel about the wines, but people have to love it.
We have to make business. We have to sell the wine.
Yeah, but also it's just like, what's the point of making wine that it's only you are going to like? And I have worked like for some wineries or knew some wineries, and the winemaker was so selfish in the way of winemaking. I said, oh yeah, no, but people don't understand anything. It's just me. I hear that very often from winemakers. Yeah, but consumers don't know anything.
I mean, this is a bit un-PG, but it's a bit like, and a bit crude, but it's a bit like sex. Yeah, it's okay on your own, but it's way better with someone else. You know, like that's how I feel about sharing wine and drinking wine.
Yeah, absolutely.
So yeah, it is just when people get so into their own bubble and their own ivory tower, I think they're kind of missing the point. Why wine's around.
I hate the consumers don't understand anything. That's when people say consumers don't understand anything, just makes me realize how the people have no idea how wine market is, what's the wine market, and actually have no idea of marketing itself or producing itself. Just there's a lot of wine snobs and say nobody understands, only you know, because you're just some kind of privileged something. And I hate that snobism in wine. And I think customers do understand, and customers will judge you, and they won't drink anything that you will put in their glasses, whether you like it or not. And if the customers don't like it, and if everybody hates it, it's not because customers don't know anything. It's just because you're doing the bad job. I'm sorry to tell you. But yeah, I've met a lot of winemakers and things like that as well. Okay, yes. Yeah.
But we welcome all opinions. So if you're like, oh my goodness, I would never drink wine from a can, we don't want to just be talking to ourselves and everyone going, oh yeah, canned wine's amazing. If you don't like it, please join us as well. If you're anti bag and box wine, please join us. If you think, what the hell are people buying magnums for, come and join us, because it's more about the conversation. Next week we will be doing a tasting as well, but we want to get those opinions out. We want to have a chat.
Yeah.
Great. Thank you so much, Natalia, Nico, and Benedict for joining us. Of course, Amelia, as always, it's been such a joy.
Oh no, it's great to be here. I just need to track down some of your wines, or as soon as I can escape the country and the travel ban gets removed, then I will be making sure to track some of them down. Someone just asked if there's any cans in the UK available. So
so for yes, there's quite a lot of cans just generally, but I do err on the side of caution. If you're buying a £2 can, think about the wine that's going to be inside the can. So we've got these, we recommend these cans from the Canned Wine Company, which is a Grüne Veltliner, which we'll be tasting next week. It's a stunning wine, really like it. All details are on my website, so have a little check. There are other cans available, so like I know my local Waitrose has quite a few, like the Mirabeau. It's the same wine as in their bottles. You know, buy a can of that if you can't get hold of
There's another one that is English, and they have a wrap.
I love Chateau Maurice, actually. That's a very good example of biodynamic old vine reds in a can, which actually I served it in a blind tasting. I poured it into a decanter.
Yeah. And that's how you fool them all. And yeah, I'm sure you fool them all.
And their rosé is very good too, the Chateau Maurice, but that's like that's a really incredible. So again, the idea that only cheap juice goes into these cans. I mean, this is a guy who does everything biodynamically. Is all about having a zero carbon footprint. So his winery like runs on hemp, and so he puts a lot of thought into it. So yeah, that's just and that is available from Waitrose also.
Yeah, and then bag and box, you can buy the When in Rome wines from Flavorly. Again, all the details are on my website. At the moment, you can still buy the pack from Stanlake Park, but I think we're finishing that tonight or tomorrow. So yes, then I'll be buying direct from each individual place. But yeah, so we're going to be tasting the Grüne Veltliner from Canned Wine Company, the Montepulciano d'Abruzzo from When in Rome, and then the Rosé Magnum. And then we're also recommending the Regatta half bottle for anyone who would prefer just to have a little half bottle instead. Yeah. Thank you all so much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Benedict. Thank you, Natalia. And thank you so much, Soma. And thanks,
Thank you for inviting me.
You're welcome.
Great.